Hello, everybody. Today, we are going to talk about the joys of constraints, as in the joy of limitations, the joy of not being free to do or write whatever you want to, whenever you feel it. The concept of constraints or the concept of limitations can sometimes be, especially for creative people, the way really we all are who become copywriters, the idea of constraints and limitations can be constraining, limiting. There you go, done. Such an insightful today. You guys are welcome. But I think that a lot of us fight against the idea of constraints or limitations, when in fact, constraints and limitations can be what open us up to be most creative sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're really important to help focus us, because I think when you start a project, you can feel like there's so much, where do I even begin? So the creative brief really helps with that. So sticking to your creative brief, and I know students in the CCA like to do research outside of the creative brief, which is so smart and so proactive, but use what's given there, because that'll be the same thing with the client. With the client, yes, you'll be able to ask follow-up questions and see if there's additional information for ideas you might have to see if those are routes you can go. But then if you use what's in the creative brief, you're not tempted to get more and more and more into whatever type of ad you're creating or website or whatever copy you're writing. So it really helps focus you and narrow you in, so you don't have to feel like I need more and spread yourself all over the place.
Exactly. Or where do I go from here? I think those who have ever sat down and tried to write a short story or a novel or a play or whatever, there's that blank page panic, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sit down and write something genius. I've got all day, and then you sit down and you go, oh, I don't know what to write. And the great thing about copywriting, one of the many great things about copywriting, is that you're never sitting down with a blank page, really. I mean, technically your initial Word doc may be blank, but you always have a creative brief. And then from that creative brief, your first step should always be to create an outline of the key points that you want to get in there. I think that and I think probably those of us working from home discovered this as well, or those of us who are experiencing maybe being freelance for the first time, too much freedom can be overwhelming. So it's really
I don't know about you. I'm like the dog from Up, where he's like squirrel, and that's how it feels sometimes. You're just like oh. So that can really help you just put the blinders on and say nope. Like you said, you have the doc. I always start with, if it's an email, for example, subject line. I know it's going to go there. Outline the pieces that are going to be in this, and then start playing around with the different pieces and not feeling like, I've got to chase down things that don't even fit the project.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have a frame to work within, then you're free to be as creative as you want to, or as creative as the project calls for. Not every project is looking for super creativity or anything like that, but free to be as creative as you want to within that frame. It's like painting an entire wall versus painting something within this frame. You have that opportunity to really focus yourself and really let out mix that creativity with that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it makes for stronger copy, really, because I think there's this temptation for a lot of us to want to hit on every single benefit of something. Oh, it can do this, and this is good for you, and this, and this, and this, and this. But focusing in on one, maybe two things in your concepting that you really want to focus on can make the piece that much stronger. It's that idea of less is more. I think there's a tendency to want more, and isn't our client going to want to talk about this feature and this and this? But that's not your job. You can always have that conversation with them later to say, here's why I made this choice, and here's why it's stronger and going to be most effective for your audience, versus just trying to, please the client. There's that line of, doing the job well and knowing what they're asking for, but also being the copy expert and bringing that expertise so that you deliver something that is going to be most effective for them and isn't just giving them not what they need, but what they want.
Yeah. Well, and remembering too that you're writing for the client. The client is paying you, but you're writing for the target audience. And the target audience, based on what you've learned, what you know about the target audience likely does not want to read all of the things, doesn't want to read a whole big long page of copy. You know, we kind of laugh about it that no one's going to read all of your copy on a page except you and maybe your mother. And it's a little bit sad because we work so hard on it. But it's true, you know, various people are going to read various parts, but if you have a whole big, long, prohibitively long piece, no matter what it is, nobody's going to read it. And if nobody reads it, there's no point. So to your point, Kate, sticking to the few things that are most important, most salient is really going to help you make your piece more effective than trying to throw all of the possible things into your piece.
Yeah, absolutely. So step one, start with that concepting. And once you've gotten a few ideas down, a few concepts down, pick one to start exploring first, you know, and then see if you need to explore others or want to explore others. But that can really help you, you know, if you do multiple concept options, that can help you explore these multiple benefits in different ways without trying to cram all of them into one concept.
Yeah, and put constraints on your concepting time too, right?
Yes. Yeah, great point. Time can be a great help for constraining you. So not say, I'm gonna, and this goes for pitching too, this goes for writing, I'm gonna, you know, go down the rabbit hole and explore this person's website for 5 hours. Set those timers. And if you need more time after, obviously, while you're writing, you know, I'm going to give myself an hour to do concepting and see where you're at and assess, okay, how much more time do I really need? You don't want to just say, okay, 1 hour, that's it, I'm done. But you do want to kind of manage your time wisely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we talk a lot about scheduling, opening up your iCal or your Google Calendar or whatever, and scheduling time to get stuff done, or to get stuff on. You can, like you were saying, get pitching on your calendar, make sure it gets done that week. But also the constraint of, okay, I've got an hour to send out, you know, these 2 pitches or these 3 pitches, and then I've got someplace else to be. That constraint, it makes you, it's like deadlines with copywriting.
Yeah.
Like, I know you and I will both say we would be very, very poor monetarily and metaphorically copywriters if deadlines exist. I'd never turn anything, if like, oh, give me copy whenever you want to. I would never turn any copy. And giving yourself deadlines, like saying, okay, I have 3 pitches to send today. I know who I'm going to send them to. I've done the research. I have 3 pitches that I have to write in this 1 hour. And then maybe it is that you actually have, like, oh, I have to go pick up the kids at 3 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock now. I'm going to do this. Those constraints can help you stay focused as well, creative and focused.
Yeah, it's so true. It helps you get out that messy first draft. And it helps you, I know I have the feeling of like, if it's over a weekend and I should have just gotten it out of the way, where it's like, oh, I have that due Monday and now I have to do it. And then I sit around and I can't even enjoy my downtime because I'm thinking about it. So that helps you get rid of that guilt / just like, it's like, nope, let's do it and get it done.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you think of constraints as I was saying earlier, as limiting you, but in a lot of ways, constraints can be what get you to get things done. Like we were talking about another call about, or maybe a live about, you know, when you're on a call with your client saying, okay, great, thanks for all this information. We'll look through my notes. I'm going to send you through the quote for this project by 5 o'clock today. Mm-hmm. And so important to always do that. Number one, because you're setting expectations for your client, but also because then you have to do it by 5 o'clock today instead of spending, you know, 2 days going, should I charge them this or should I charge them this or should I charge them this? You have to do it. So in this way, having limitations can force you to actually take the actions that you need to take and you may not always feel like taking.
Oh, I love that. I love the finger pointing too. I feel like you're pointing right at me. Send that quote.
Get your work done.
Yes, I will.
Pointing at me too.
We all need that. We need a GIF of Nicki. Just get it done.
You can do it. Get your work done.
Yep, I need
Set
that.
a timer.
Yeah.
I'm here for you guys. But good. We hope this was helpful. We know that the concept of limitations and constraints is like, oh, but I'm a creative. Yes, you are, which is why you are going to learn to love constraints and limitations and deadlines. I'm not joking. We're not joking. They will make the biggest difference in your career, and you will love them.